Now, if you choose not to work in this format, and again, we recommend that you do, but if you choose not to, the way you would do that is if you click on your main again, back into your main FLA, and you go into your properties panel, what you would want to do is you'd want to delete your main reference. And when you delete your main reference, now there's no linkage between our main and our class. So if we click on our edit, this is not going to go anywhere. It's going to ask us to put a name because we don't really have one. So I'm going to save my file now. Now, because I've opened this file previously in an earlier version, then it's asking me if I want to save it up to Flash CS5. So I am not going to save it right now because it's not really important for me to save. Now, if I run the application now, it's going to output nothing, right? Because there's no connection now between our main and our AS file. The way we would program if we choose to work not in an object-oriented mode is to go to our timeline. We're going to create a new layer, and we're going to name that layer. So I'm just going to double click on layer 2, and I'm going to select everything here, and I'm going to type your AS just to make sure that everyone knows that our code is in the AS layer. Now that we have our AS selected, I have to select the first frame, which every one of these lines are possible frames, although they're disabled frames. These don't exist yet, only active frames right now are these two. And I want to select my frame right now in frame 1. We want to select the frame in frame 1. And now that it's selected, I could click on my window actions panel. Now make sure that you don't have by mistake something selected. So if I just go and I create here a rectangle, and it has a really big thick stroke, but that's fine. And you can see now that it's selected, you'll see that in ActionScript 3, code cannot be placed directly on objects. Please select a frame or use the code snippets panel, yada yada yada. To our point, what that means is that we want to make sure that our frame is selected and not the object. And the way I make sure that that will happen is any items that I create, I don't create on the same layer as my AS layer. So I like to just lock my AS layer, making sure that I won't put anything on it. So I could select that layer and directly go into my actions frame in my actions panel, and then I could start coding. So for example, if previously we stored the sample of hello world, let's create that sample again. We could just type trace, open a round bracket, open a double quote, type hello space world, not world, close our double quote, close our round bracket, and then semicolon. And now if we run our application, we should be getting in our output panel hello world. And that's all you really need to do to make that choice between our path of the object-oriented path and the traditional path of coding directly on the timeline.